Welcome everyone to episode 162 of Just Joshing. I am your host, Joshua Pentalaresco. I write stuff in podcast too. And today my guest is the one and only Martheus Wade. I've known Martheus for a long time. Cool dude, awesome talent. One of my favorite. He talks about really cool themes and hell of a guy. You're gonna find out. So I want to get a couple things out of the way before we get to the conversation. Number one, I'm kind of doing some new things with recording. The quality of this conversation is what it is due to Skype. Skype sucks. And I'm doing what I can to restore it. I'm trying some new things out. So the quality may be kind of meh this episode. I'm going to apologize in advance for that. On the other hand, it might even be better, work out better than I thought. So, fair warning up front. This may or may not be the best episode. But it is what it is. Beyond that, I just got back from Creative Inc. I kind of want to talk about that really quick. I owe Sandra Wickham a lifetime debt, and if she's listening to this, I'm sure she'll be surprised to hear that. So this was my first conference where I actually got to meet some readers, like some people that have actually read my books, and that is a hell of a feeling. Like, all of us that do this kind of really, really want that. And just strictly from an ego point of view, I have no problem being known as a podcaster more than a writer. Most people know me as a podcaster. I didn't expect that to be the case, but I had done 162 episodes, so maybe I should have anticipated that. But yeah, like I said, it's just one of those things where I ended up doing hearing things as a writer is totally a nice thing and something that honestly, I want more of. I'm going to be doing a lot more writing events in the coming weeks, and I got some events to announce very soon. The podcast should be more regular again as a result of this. This process I'm trying is just basically an enhancement to what I'm already doing. I had a lot of fun with the conferences. The podcast conference was educational for me. As much as it was for everybody else, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. Beyond that, yeah, things are growing. Things are going. I'm kind of enjoying some days off. I gotta hurry up now. I have an editor who dares to edit my Dr. Seuss style book. Dr. Seuss writing's hard, by the way. That's what we're working on this afternoon. So I'm gonna leave you now to this conversation. And so here's my conversation with Martheus Wade. You got nothing.
I think everything incriminating has already been out there.
So no clubbing baby seals, stealing candy from babies, nothing, nada?
None of that, man.
No?
Unless you want to count stealing some candy from Anakin on Halloween, but that's pretty tame compared to other stuff that's going on out there right now.
Oh, totally. But I mean, those are the good crimes. You know what I mean? How you been, man? How's your wife? She gonna be okay?
Yeah, she's doing all right. She just caught Anakin's cold. So we went camping last weekend, and Anakin caught a cold, and then now she's got it. So.
Okay, so hopefully it doesn't spread to you. Hopefully you're the man of steel.
Man, I hope so. I can't afford it.
Well, I'm fortunate. My dad's a naturopath, so for me, I haven't gotten any of this stuff. No flus, no colds, nothing.
Really? Seriously?
Seriously. Oh yeah. It just, like, everybody else, like, well, I work in a dirty place. Like, my day job is I lift boxes all the time.
Oh, really?
So I probably lift something like, anywhere between 2 to 4 tons a day, depending on how busy we are. So I'm always in decent shape. So I don't, like, for me, I don't go down easy. It does, like I said, I haven't had a flu in 20 years. I get cold about once every 3-4 years.
Right.
So.
That's awesome, man. I grew up with bad sinuses, and I think that has trickled over to Anakin. He has bad sinuses too.
Okay. So Anakin might be too young for this, but you're not too young for this. So I have a suggestion for you. You can try it. Let me know how it goes for you. All right. You like coffee?
Coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay. So you take a black coffee. Okay. Put in honey. And either a peppermint tea bag or a peppermint leaf, just peppermint, like however you can get it.
Yeah.
Drink it.
Try that.
Yeah, that's what I drink before I go to work. It's like I work in a very dusty warehouse. It opens me up. completely. And I'm also more alert and awake, and it's also really cheap medicine. So if you do feel congested, it'll help you.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for something that's gonna be able to uh, open up my sinus.
Yeah.
Sinus cavity.
Well, give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it works, you'll be like, holy crap, man. So, yeah. So I suppose we should talk about stuff. You listen to any of my podcasts prior to this?
I think I did one time before because we were supposed to come on one time before, and I forgot what happened. Like, I don't know if it was a scheduling conflict.
Yeah, we just couldn't at that time. I remember that. It was just we just couldn't. It was just you were launching Shinobi Ninja Princess, which I think. By the way, I enjoyed Volume 1 very much.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, I didn't get. Unfortunately, I have to. I'm sorry to say I didn't get a chance to read Volume 2 just yet, but I hope to. Actually. Yeah.
Well, if you do, let me know what you think about that one.
I promise you, if I like it, I'll tell you, and if I don't like it, I promise never to mention it to anybody again. It's true. Yes. But no, actually, see, so I remember when I discovered you a long time ago when I was working for pulp literature, Tommy Hancock, a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and then I looked you up. And I remember, you're an interesting dude. Like you write about, like you still write about a lot of things that really intrigue me. Like I remember we talked about fate and free will last time we chatted, right? So now that you're older and you're wiser and stuff, or something to that effect, anyway, right?
You want to call it older and wiser?
I'm trying to build you up, man. I'm trying to build you up. But so has anything changed?
Not really, man. I mean, I still feel pretty much the same way, man. You know what I'm saying? I still believe that people have the innate ability to be able to kind of like I guess kind of choose a certain path. But I mean, I still believe that you still have to. There's a path that you are meant to take, and until you find that path, you pretty much just gonna float around and not be happy. Like there's and I'm not like a world traveler, and I just know from my experiences and then talking to certain people and that they're happier when they find a certain groove to their life. Like if you're just one of those kind of people that are, that kind of like wander around aimlessly and you kind of don't know, where you're going and stuff like that. I've found that people are less happier when they don't know, when they have an uncertain future. I mean, I don't want to say uncertain for anything. Everything's uncertain, but when they kind of don't have a game plan and just kind of wandering around life.
No, I totally get that. I've been chasing my writing dreams since I was a teenager. I've never really been unhappy. I mean, right. I've never. I mean, it's funny to me because I knew what I wanted to be at a young age, and I've been doing nothing but go towards that ever since. And through all the good and bad, I mean, hey, like as you know, this is not a journey for the faint of heart at any stretch of the unit, right?
No, it is. But like people ask me, like my mom, like, I don't want to say my mom, but certain people in my family sometimes they don't understand why I do certain things. Like for instance, like when Anakin was little, it was a whole thing about me trying to be able to find a good job, a good paying job, and stuff like that, and something that was steady. And artwork is everything, the opposite. It's not.
It's chaos.
It's a lot of chaos. It's not a thing where you're gonna be set for life unless even even some of my friends that have worked for Marvel and DC, they're not set for life. You know what I mean? That's not guaranteed. They work from assignment to assignment as well. So she was always like, you need to find something that's stable. You know what I mean? So why don't you go do something else? Well, the option, you can do something else, right? You can always do something else, but I'll always think the fact that you are so unhappy when you just do anything. You know what I'm saying? When you do the thing you're not supposed to, you're just unhappy.
Well, it's not even what you're supposed to do. I think it's just the fact. Okay, look, I've said this on podcasts in the past. I am thoroughly blessed I get to talk to people like you all the time, because everybody I talk to is doing something, right? Good, like wherever they are in their success ladder. I mean, there's a point with that where it's kind of like I equate it to rain. Like you go up, you show up, you do what you know how to do, and you hope for the best. And it doesn't always fall the way you expect it to, unfortunately. Sometimes it's actually a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, but the final result sometimes is up in the air a little bit. I mean, but when I'm doing this, I am so alive. I feel fulfilled. I feel like I'm doing something that actually matters, right? And when I go to my day job, right, I don't care. And I'm not like, and I'm not in like a negative way. Like I'm not there like sabotaging anything or being miserable. I just don't care. It doesn't fulfill me, right? It's just a paycheck, right? And there's nothing wrong with that either. If you're going somewhere just for a paycheck, but if you don't have anything in your life besides the paycheck, besides a task at hand, you're never going to be happy, one. Number two, and this has been a very interesting thing as I've noticed as I've gotten older and or wiser. I'll leave that up to you, whether which one I am. But there is no security anymore. Like, there really isn't. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, you can go somewhere today, and there may be a paycheck there, and there might be a paycheck tomorrow and the day after, but one day, it'll be gone. And it doesn't matter how big or how small the company is. Doesn't matter. It's not because necessarily the company's going out of business, but all things change. Everything changes. And because everything changes, right, that purpose you serve for that company today may not be there tomorrow. And that's just the way it is, right? And when you look at that from that point of view, there's no such thing as security. I mean, I think as one of the, we still, like, there was an era 20 years ago where people could still retire comfortably. That era does not exist anymore. I think a lot of people still want to believe in that era,
right?
But it really doesn't. The fact of the matter is, tomorrow I could go to work and I could be fired. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it might. And the fact of the matter is, I might, right, the next job I get or the job afterwards I get, they might all cut them. They go away like dust too. So I came to a conclusion actually not too long ago. Well, if nothing's secure, if nothing truly is secure, then why try? I mean, obviously you want to do what you can to get income coming in, especially in your case. You have kids, you have a family, you like food. I mean, everybody likes food, right? Right? But at the end of the day, whatever thing you get right is just for right now. There's no tomorrow guaranteed for anything anymore.
No, it's not. And that's one of the reasons why it's hard. It's hard, because one of the things that I kept fighting with, especially during that time, was like, oh man, I'm too selfish. You know what I'm saying? Because maybe I should just go ahead and just get about this art gig thing. You know what I'm saying? Just being selfish right now, But at the same time, I looked at it like, man, dude, I tried it, and it was not, I wasn't happy, and that negatively reflected on who I was as well as a father and as everything else. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like, it's a lose-lose. You can't. There's no way you can do that. So that's just, I still believe that.
What?
And
are you a biblical? I'm just asking. Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
There's a Bible verse that I think is really appropriate to today. It's man cannot live on bread alone. Right? The whole point on that is, look, all of us can survive. When push really came to shove, the things people are capable of to get to the next day are incredible. Like, really, they are. But there's got to be more life than that. Like, when you get right down to it, there's just got to be more. Because if I am going just for the day to day, why am I getting out of bed?
Right, that's the whole thing. It's like I'm a big proponent that, man, like, there's more. We live in a modern time, and like we just had a like this thing called the Hero Empowerment seminar here, and I don't know if you're familiar with him, but his name's Robert Townsend.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he came in, and it was pretty much about like just talking to our inner city youth of Memphis and their parents and stuff like that, and and just trying to be able to spark some hope in Memphis. Because I mean, some of like our youth in Memphis is kind of jacked sometimes. I mean, we've got some really good areas, but we also have some areas where where we could be doing a lot better. So we wanted to bring him in and just kind of talk about like how he got started. He had some really humble beginnings, and then what his philosophies are on life and stuff, and then couple that with some of us and stuff too. So me, my wife, my best friend that edits the Jetta books and Shinobi the Princess books was on it. One of my friends with the Hills and Hood Foundation, we went to high school together. He was on it as well. We worked on a concert together, so we were all talking about that. And one of the things that I told the audience, and I really believe that, is like we have a tendency to tell our kids that the most important thing, either by our actions or just by some real telling them, is that the most important thing out there is money, and that leads us into dangerous situations. Because what you do is, if that's the case, then in the long run, like the drug dealer or the guy on the street is right.
Yep.
Because they're making money. So, but it can't be all that, because we all universally know that that's a bad thing to do. You're not supposed to do that. You can't see money that way. So what else is it?
Yeah.
The other thing is, it's like living up to your heart and just knowing that you may not at this time be making all the money that you can in the world, but at the same time, if you're happy and you can get up at the end of the day with respecting yourself and stuff like that, that's a whole lot more and a whole lot more meaningful. So, we have to be able to, whatever our kids do, we got to impart to them that, money is not always the thing. And if they're not making all the money, but they're happy being whatever they're being, then we need to support them.
Well, it's not about what you have; it's about what you can enjoy. And the only challenge with that way of thinking, and this is something that is not imparted enough in my opinion as well, is we live in a world today that exploits people. I mean, let's just call it what it is. There is a degree of I have X amount of dollars. I have the right to exploit you for more money, even though I don't really need it anymore. This is the power that is given to me today by the laws in the land. Right? So, one of the things that's not really imparted on people is their own worth. I mean, it's not. It's no longer like I remember working somewhere, and one of the biggest things that I was told over and over while I was living in this place from various people was I was lucky to have a job. But let's analyze that one for a second. Lucky to have a job is basically is codes like be happy you're in the place you're in. That's not an empowering point of view. That's a very downtrodden point of view, right? Right? Instead of being you're lucky to have a job, what we should be thinking is this is only a moment in time. Let's make the most for myself so I can get to the next level. I mean, at the end of the day, no one goes to work for a company for the sake of working for a company. People go to work for themselves. And the reason why they do that is not just to survive, but to thrive. So I mean again, it's important to be humble. It's important to enjoy wherever you're at in your life, But also remember, right? Never sell yourself short either. You are a 1 in 250 trillion being. You beat incredible odds just to be here. Why sell yourself short?
Right. No, that's the whole point. I mean, like I said, I still believe in that. Like some of my writings now have kind of, I guess, strayed away from that a little bit. It's always in the background.
Yeah.
But just because some of the stuff is not so adult oriented, so I won't say adult. It's not so heavy, like because of Shinobi the Princess. It has to be a little bit lighter because of the audience is younger.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
But it's still it's still in there. You know what I mean? Like the protagonist, is still Shiandru Toshigawa. You know what I mean? It's still the same woman from the Jeddah Toshigawa. She's just 14 years old here, but she still struggles with the same.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Just in a very kid way, because teenagers. I think teenagers more than anything sometimes have to struggle with big identity crisis. Like, who am I? Like, what am I going to be? You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And that's why you end up having. I don't want to be my parents, so I'm not going to do the things that they did. You know what I mean?
Well, so, yeah, and the irony sometimes you end up doing exactly what they did because your parents thought the same thing 20 years ago. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you're just rebelling just to do the same stuff.
No, yeah, no, it's not always well thought of when you do that. I've come to terms with the fact I am my father's son. I've come to terms with that. I'm not him, which is a good thing. I think the universe can only handle one of him. That's right. And I love him to death. Dad, I love you, but yeah, I mean it's the truth. And like me too. There's only going to be one of me. And if I have kids someday, I hope they're better than I was. I hope they don't make all my mistakes. And that's the hope, right? I'm really tempted to ask you what you wanted to be when you grew up, when you first asked that question.
What I want to be?
Yeah.
I want to be an artist.
You've always wanted this.
Yeah.
That's
what I want to be. Like I always I can't remember a time when I didn't either write my own stories or take stories from I used to DC Comics and rewrite.
I did that too.
Yeah.
I did it.
So I always wanted to be a comic book artist. You know what I mean? In some kind of form of fashion. There was a time there when I was like, man, I want to do animation as well. But it really it always came down to me just wanting to be into comic books, man. I really wanted to do comics and create my own stories. Like I told my wife, we were talking about it one day, and it was like, man, my dream would have been to work at some point with Marvel or DC, primarily DC. But I don't see myself continuing to be happy working at DC if I would have gotten it, or in that book, because it wouldn't have been my story. So I would have been either an artist or I would have been a writer. But still, Batman, he's not yours. You know what I'm saying? There's only so much, Batman. You got to work within a bubble when you're dealing with Batman. You know what I mean? Or Superman, or anything that's an iconic IP.
It's a really interesting thing, like publishing in general today, because I have my own comic book stuff as well I'm working on. And I'm a writer. My stick figures Revolt, which ironically is going to be the comic book story I'm doing, and I'm not kidding. But the thing is, I'm used to telling my own stories now. And I'm professional enough that if given an opportunity to play in somebody else's sandbox, I'd do so, right? Especially if the price was right, I would do it. But it's really interesting today because now it's like I'm a fan. Like for me, DC, I would love to do a Green Lantern story. That's still like something I didn't care if it's just like it was 8-page short. Just say I did it, right? Right. But I'm no longer in this giddy, oh my gosh, let me do this phase, like, just for the sake of doing it. I now, like, I tell much more interesting stories on my own. So, if you want me, what is this worth to you? And it's funny. I think we've hit a very, because publishing has kind of gotten to this very hybrid model, right? Like, look at what you're doing with your books, right? It's a very hybrid. Like, you work with publishers, but you're working on by yourself as well. Um, I don't know. I think in one sense we're almost going back to an older time when artists just released work willy nilly. Like, there was no industry anymore.
Right, right. And you know what? Tell you the truth, for me anyway, and I know some people are not good with this. Like especially guys that primarily rely on their they rely on their income from a stable comic book company, Marvel, DC, Image, IDW, something like that, But I mean, I'm really, tell you the truth, I'm really good with the times where if we don't have a stable, I want to say stable, but there's a like a free flowing amoeba like industry. You know what I mean? Because I think that creatively we are in a weird space. Like, it's not as creative anymore because everybody's trying to be Marvel. Right now, I don't even want to say DC. Everybody's trying to be Marvel because Marvel is out there making these movies. I mean, when Avengers make $1 billion freaking dollars, man. I mean,
I know.
it's hard to argue. It's hard to say, oh snap, I don't want to be Marvel. You know what I mean? But everybody can't be Marvel. And I think DC is learning that right now.
Yeah.
Marvel is learning that you can't be Marvel. You know what I mean? You can't do that type of stuff all the time.
It's also funny because I think this is Marvel's peak in terms of movies, in my opinion. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure once Infinity War is done, I'm going to follow Marvel movies as much. I might still follow Guardians, and if they ever do another Thor, I'd do that. But honestly, at this point, I'm no longer really. I don't want to do a 19-part movie. You know what I mean? I don't want to do that anymore. I don't have the time. But I would. But that doesn't mean I would never see a Marvel movie again. I'm not going to say that. But I look at, like, the only thing I'm not going to spoil anything. The only issue I have with the current Avengers movie is this: it's great. I like the movie. But if I hadn't watched all these Marvel movies prior to this point,
You'd be lost.
yeah, no, yeah, you would be. There's no way for anybody that's from the outside coming in that can do it. Now, in all fairness, I mean, obviously they're making enough money; they didn't need to this time. But I'm looking at it. I look at it this way: as an experiment, that's really cool. And from a point of view of continuity, mad props to them. What they pulled there, I mean, in terms of the people, getting the right people in the right places at the right time, that's a huge feat. And you can never take that away from Marvel Studios, ever. That is impressive, no matter how you look at that. But I don't know if I want to do another one. Like, I don't think I have it in me personally to do another 19 movies. Now, I might watch franchises I like. I can do that, but I'm not sure I'm going to watch another Avengers after 4. And I'm being very honest on that. I feel personally that I'm done. And it's not because and it's not because of anything like they did. I just don't have the time to do that anymore.
Yeah. No, I feel the same way because I'm just not I'm not I don't have the time, and I'll be honest, man. I kind of checked out. Like, I checked out, not in the movie. Once I'm in the movie, I go movie, but I checked out. Like, there's some Marvel movies I still haven't seen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just it's a lot, and it's eventually going to get into the situation where we are with some of these comics that they're so into they're so into their lore right now that it is damn near impossible to break into.
Well,
As a reader, so now they have to every couple of years you're reestablishing something because they've outdated themselves.
Well,
like that.
I kind of look at what like Marvel's doing in comics, like the Legacy run. A lot of those books did not do very well, and the reason they didn't do very well is nothing really to do with the quality of the books. Some of those books are really good. It's the fact that there is a serious danger of cannibalizing your audience for cash. There's a real serious danger of that. And when you look at what Marvel's kind of doing with their movies, like I figured it out, right? You for you probably it's about $100 because you have a family, right? $100 to go to a movie. Just think about that. Let's say you saw 10 movies of this. You spent $1,000 on Marvel.
I know, right?
Right.
A lot of money.
Yeah, no, I mean, and this is a math problem, right? So I'm looking at I look at it this way. I'm a little cheaper, but even so, let's just say I watched 14 movies. Okay, $30. That's still not. That's still about $300, right? Would I? I mean, were they entertaining? Sure. Would I do it again? No, not for $300.
No, that's a lot of cheese. You know what I mean? It's creative. Like I always look at things like I'll be willing to pay for something as a creative, man. I'll be willing to pay for something if it was giving me something creatively out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Me as a creator, and like watching, like I don't even get ideas for my own thing anymore. Watching the movies, and that's just that's almost all sci-fi and fantasy movies because they are so. Some of them are so paint by numbers right now that I don't even get inspiration. You know what I'm saying? It's like so I kind of like stayed away just for that because I just wanted to be able to stay fresher within myself, and stuff like that. It's like I just feel like everybody is doing the Marvel thing. I mean, when Universal Monsters were trying to do the Marvel thing,
Oh yeah, because there's a money. There's definitely a money thing, but there's something to be said about. Well, okay, I look. Okay, so my next book's going to be a novel.
Yeah.
It's almost done. I'm ready to do it. You know what I'm actually looking at doing with the novel though? How to release it in bite sizes, like tiny bite sizes.
Yeah.
The reason being is we don't live in a world anymore now where time is definitely a luxury. Like feels more and more like a luxury every day, right? And I don't want and we all need time to unwind and chill and stuff like that, and that will never change. But I also realize that people's engagement and investment, getting them initially invested, is the real challenge. I don't have I have 5 minutes, so I want to make that 5 minutes as impactful as I can, so that they come back for another 5 minutes and another 5 minutes, like small bites, right? And also, no one complains about small bites. I would rather leave you wanting more than giving you too much. Right. So I think like when I go to a movie, like okay, some superhero movies, like I'm not gonna name names. The only question I had in one particular movie, and I've mentioned it in the past, is which girl that character would end up with at the end. I knew everything else. The ending was giving away 20 minutes into the movie. I knew what the ending was. I knew that the hero was going to survive. No matter what I'm going to see, the hero was going to survive. So the only question is, you introduce two prospective women. I don't know which one he's going to end up with, but I do know the other one's going to die. And when I got to that point, I'm like, I can't enjoy this movie anymore. Right? There's no surprises. Right. So yeah, I'm very careful with my time, and I imagine you are as well at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about faith and free will, man. Right now, I don't think we have any kind of free will with these movies.
That's it. No, that's totally true. And so actually, I do have free will. I don't have to pay for them, so it's like I'm not gonna so.
But you still, in the background about it, I still feel like that's like I'm not gonna pay for them. But you still end up hearing about it like forever online and stuff.
Oh no. See. Okay. So for me. So I remember back when The Matrix came out. Okay. Yeah. I had no clue what the movie was about. I had no clue. I walked in and I was blown away. It's an amazing movie. And I'm like, okay, So here's what I'm going to do. If I know I'm going to see this movie, I'm going to know as little as possible going into it.
Right.
As little as possible. I've done that with Star Wars. All the Star Wars movies, I've known nothing. Nada. Zip, zilt, zero going into it. I find I enjoy them a lot more when I do that. I've learned the art of ignoring trailers. I've learned the art of... If my friends on Facebook want to talk about a movie, I just skip. I don't need to read the feed. It's like, oh my god, and no, I don't need to read you. It's great. I'm glad you liked it. I'm happy for you. I personally am going to not do this. I am going to wait until I see the movie myself and enjoy it. So, to the rest, meh, you know. But it takes work. You have to work.
It does, man. Like I said, I don't know, man. I go to, I'm in this place, like I said, if I'm gonna spend time on it, I'm gonna do stuff that I like.
Yeah, exactly.
And not worry about the rest. You know what I'm saying? But I really want to like the stuff that I do. You know?
No, and I totally get that. What I've learned though is I just establish rules for myself. Like what will work for me, right? Yeah. Do I want to be surprised about this movie completely? Yes. Right? Do I need to be surprised? Do I want to have an impression going into a movie? The last trailer I watched was the first Deadpool because I wasn't sure which Deadpool I was going to get. So I was like, okay, what Deadpool am I getting? Okay, it's my Deadpool. Cool. Like I can go watch this movie now, right? But
people are talking Deadpool. Which one?
Yeah, no, that's it. That's right. I wanted to be sure because if I don't get the Deadpool I want, I'm going to be very angry, right? And I don't want to pay money to be angry. You know, I just
exactly.
I'm too old for that shit.
I'm surprised though how many people do want to pay money. That's the problem.
Actually, you know, I had a theory on that. It might be very depressing theory. I feel a lot of people today, going back to something we talked about at the beginning, a lot of people don't know what to do with themselves anymore.
Yeah.
So I think what happens there more than anything else is people without that sense are paying to feel and experience anything, and anger is easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if we all look inside ourselves, we all have points in our lives where things happened that shouldn't have happened, and it's really easy to dwell on those things. And what happens there is, so it's an easy emotion to get to. Consequently, as an artist and as a writer, joy is the hardest thing for me to write. I don't know about you. Joy is the absolute hardest thing. And I figured out the reason why behind that because it's such a precious thing. Joy is such a rare and beautiful. It's not even. It's almost beyond happiness. It's like a serenity to it. But it's also you at your most vulnerable. We live in a world today where empathy is not encouraged. So I think what happens with a lot of people is they pay for this anger and stuff is just because they don't know what else to feel. That's the scary part.
I agree, man. I agree. It's that, and it's the ability to for you to have to feel like you have to anything that you see has to make you feel like you have to relive what you did before, especially if it was a sequel or something like that.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to make me feel this way because I felt like this way before.
Yeah.
Project, something like that. And it's not the same. You can't. It's once you've had a nostalgic feeling or whatnot about whatever it is, man. I mean, it's harder and harder to be able to get that same feeling back because you already had it. You know what I mean?
It's hard to recapture the exact experience and moment. That first time, it's so hard, and it's always going to be a little bit different. I think and this is story wise. When you create a Tales of Toshikawa or Jeddah, right? You do a Jeddah story. You have an experience you create with that. Right. So your job as a creator is when you tell your story, you have to have something new to say. But you can't deviate. This is where continuity gets really, really tricky. You can't deviate from what came before too much,
Right.
right? It has to be a natural, organic evolution, and you have to still say something powerful and new each and every time,
Right.
right? And it's a very hard balance.
It is. It's just what I try. Like what I try to do is like back on the subject of just trying to relive something. I mean, it's not even like when I write like whatever my next project is, whether it be Shinobi Ninja Princess or Genesis or Toshizawa or whatever, man. It's not, I'm not trying to relive that moment that I wrote the first book.
No.
There's life experience in there that has happened that won't let me do that. Like when I wrote my first book, it was a lot of excitement in there because of the unknown. You got to think about that too. You know what I mean? The unknown of it caused a whole lot of excitement. You know what I mean? That may or may not have been warranted. You know what I'm saying? But now, because of the unknown, is not the unknown of some of this stuff, publishing and putting a book out and going to a con for the first time, and seeing people like it or seeing people not like it. The unknown of that now is not, and that's my wife coughing in the background. The unknown of that now is not something that I can look at and say, I'm going to be able to relive or remake that now. Because I already know what that is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they're enjoying these things, they are actually going into this thing wanting to relive that first time they saw Star Wars. First time they saw the Avengers all together, or something like that, and it's not. That's a false. It's a false thing. You'll never be able to get that back. You just got to enjoy what you got. You got to enjoy the things that are presented in front of you. And if you don't, you got to have another reason other than nostalgia to actually throw that out.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy this. That's what I see a lot of problems with. Especially online stuff, people saying that they don't like something online because most of the time it didn't make them feel like they wanted to that could have felt when the first time they saw these properties, So and I don't know, that's one of my pet peeves with doing things now as far as like trying to do things in pop culture, because everybody in pop culture wants to be able to. They think they know what pop culture is or whatnot, and how they should feel from it or what it should give them and stuff like that. And everybody right now is.
Well, I'm not cool enough to be one of those people. I'm not even cool enough for Netflix. I'm not mature enough. Maybe one day, maybe when I'm 60, I will finally be old enough for Netflix. So. That's gonna be my writer bio, by the way. I'm not cool enough for Netflix. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with being awkward and uncool. It's part of my charm. So.
Yeah. By the time that happens, though, there's gonna be something else.
Well, that's cool. I have no problem going at my own pace. It's okay. This is listen. The tortoise beat the hare in the end because the tortoise just did what he knew how to do. That's the moral of the hare and the tortoise. No matter what the hare does, no matter how much better he is, no matter any of that stuff, that's irrelevant. What matters in that story is the tortoise just did what the tortoise knew how to do. And the reason why the tortoise succeeded and the hare lost is because the tortoise was consistent. That's it. That's it. That's the lesson. So I when I get to 60 years old, if I finally can binge watch all these shows that I've heard so many good things about, I'll have time to do that. That's great. And if it's 70, I'm good with that too. Right? I'm not going to live everything in this life. I'm more concerned about the important things like playing on trampolines and ice cream and Baileys and the important stuff.
Yeah. Doing stuff, man. That's kind of where I am, man. I'm just trying to be able to, enjoy stuff.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, look, man, life only goes by once. As far as I know, it only goes by once. I sincerely hope it only goes by once, anyway. But that moment going forward, I can't get that back. I can't. So every moment I'm here, I want to do something that really matters to me. And that means I don't have to keep up with everybody else. I don't need to. It's not about them. It's about me and how I enjoy my life and how what I do. That's it. And you know what? If I'm left in the dirt, I'm left behind. I'm all that other wonderful. That's cool. You know what? You do what you makes you happy. And if this makes you happy, go for it. God bless you. God bless you. But if you're doing it because this is what everybody else is doing, there's a word for that. You're not the hare. You're a lemming, and lemmings tend to go off a cliff.
Yeah, man. And that just goes back to like what we were talking about before. You know what I mean? It's just like I said, I just believe in finding your own path and whatever that path is. And I think that everybody has one that they should be on. And once you find it, that's when you're most happy. I mean, and when you get off of it, that's when you're most sad. You know what I mean? When that path that you're on, everybody can stray from the path every once in a while if they want to. I mean, if they find themselves in an opportunity, but you just gotta find it back and get your groove back on it and keep going on that path.
Yeah.
You'd be good, you know what I mean?
So we're coming to the end of the conversation. I feel I should say this here now. Congrats on your Kickstarter. That's awesome, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. I was actually, I thought I was like, oh yeah, we'll be able to make the goal. Like when I was talking to the publisher and stuff, we had the goal of 5,000, and I was like, I think we'll be able to make the goal, but I wouldn't. My surprise comes from like making a goal as fast as we did. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, man, the readers really stepped up.
Well, it's not even that. Like, okay, you gotta so I'm gonna give you some credit. You've been doing this for a long time, and going back to I'm going back to the hare and the tortoise thing because I actually like that analogy with this. You've been just doing your thing for a long time, and there's been some highs, there's been some lows. I've talked to you off and on, and I've heard a little bit of everything you're going with and doing, but you're still here and you're still doing it. And you know what? I mean, I was really happy to see Shinobi Ninja Princess as a book like that was published by a very respected publisher, and I still think, man, you're coming up. You're not going down. You're coming up. It's going to be interesting to see you in a few more years, because again, you have your own niche. You have martial arts femme fatales that deal with big concepts like fate and free will and who you want to be. That's pretty badass, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. It's it's one of those things where I just don't, you know what I mean? Like I tried to do this thing where like a lot of artists they do like a lot of commission work and stuff like that are good with just doing that and not publishing. And I tried to do that for a while. I'm just not happy. Like I gotta be able to tell these stories, man, and whatever kind of form that takes, I'm just gonna do that. And just because I'm not like, and one thing I had to get over, like I said, I had to get over the fact that this may or may not be one of those things where people are just like, oh my gosh, you're gonna win an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? It's like as long as I have a couple, like today, right? I went to a comic store and a free comic day, and I walk in and the store is packed, right?
Oh yeah.
Our local store is awesome. They have carried every single
That's awesome.
book that I have ever published. They have carried. I mean, even the books that were like self-published and like.
Dude, people were rooting for you. That's awesome.
Yeah. They have my back, so they've carried them before. But they most recently they packed out Shinobi and Princess books. They've done really well. And so I walk in, and there's lines and stuff. People picking up free comics. Well, there's kids in the kids section, man, and they're going over and talking in depth about Shinobi Ninja. They're talking in depth about what the characters are, and who they are, and what they mean to them, and the storyline and stuff like that, and where it can possibly go and stuff like that. And one little girl is like she's picked up all individual issues from the second volume, and her dad is like, well, you got to make sure because you bought all of these before, you don't want to buy the same book over and over again. She was like, oh, I just want to get them again and stuff like that. And I was like, me and my son are looking at this like, oh my gosh, this is really, really cool, right? And that's the kind of stuff you can't get that, like, man. You can't get that type of joy. I guess you could, but I couldn't get that type of joy really out of like, say, writing something that somebody else established, man. You know what I mean? It's or like writing a Batman book. I mean, you can get that initial pop, like, wow, I wrote a Batman book, but Batman's gonna always. You know what I mean? You're just gonna be furthering along that wheel. You know what I'm saying? And I love that character, but I want to be able to do something that's my own, and being able to do something like this with the kids, that lasts for a while, man. So, this Kickstarter, and having it do as well as it has, man, really means a lot to me, and it means a lot more than just being able to put more comic books out there. It means being able to put more books in the hands of kids like this, man. That's what I really do.
And honestly, man, it's great that you've gotten to that point. It's awesome, and you didn't get there overnight. And like I said, no, going back to what I said to you at the very beginning. We were talking about like self-worth. Never ever sell yourself short with what you've done, because honestly, it didn't happen overnight. Like you're right. You busted your ass to get to this point, and yeah, man, kudos to you. So listen, we have had a wonderful conversation, and I feel, though, I don't want to overstay my welcome. Your wife is sick. She might be mad at me and beat me if he ever meets me in person. That's a frightening thought. So this is what I would like you to do, because you're going to be coming up really soon. So while your Kickstarter is still going on, so tell people about your Kickstarter, right?
Okay.
Where you can get it, how can they find you, right? And go from there.
Well, I mean, the Kickstarter is going. We still got like 19 days left after this recording, so and we just talked to the publisher about some stretch goals that we have in there too, where we can actually be able to, me and Janet, and possibly Andy too, depending on his school schedule, may be able to come to your schools out there or something like that you pledge to, and do a meet and greet for a day for class, sign some books and stuff like that.
That's cool.
There's also a Skype version in there coming up pretty soon, where you have a Skype conversation with a school or class or something like that about, comics, how we got started, all that type of stuff. So there's some really cool tiers that are still left. There's a tier in there where you can actually get a little statue of the main character from Shinobi Ninja Princess in there as well. So please go to Kickstarter.com and keyword search for Shinobi, and if you want to type the whole thing in there, Shinobi Princess, and click on the first link that comes up, and grab pledge to get the hardcover book. So that's there. You can also find us as well. You can go to the publishing website, actionlabcomics.com, and they have Shinobi Ninja Princess book volumes 1 and 2 there as well. Or you can go, if you're more trying to look for something that's a little bit more mainstream comics wise, you can go to Toshigawa.com and go to that's our website, and we have a store on there that you can actually buy some of our other graphic novels that we started out a little bit earlier, but it's in the same world. So Jetta Telbo Toshigawa, it's a Toshigawa universe world about ninjas and Oni, and which are Japanese monsters and things like that. So you can jump in anywhere. You can jump in more of an adult type of realm with Jedi Tales of Tokugawa graphic novels, or you can jump in with more all ages, family-friendly version of the book with Shinobi Ninja Princess. So, but just go. I would just go to the Kickstarter and pledge to get the hardcover book, which is the hardcover book is actually volumes 1 and 2 put together. It's 300 pages of butt-kicking ninja action for all ages there.
And that was my conversation with Martheus Wade. You can definitely still check out his Kickstarter. It's got a few days left to go. Been on it. Get some cool stuff. Check out his bookstore for Jedi Tales of the Tokugawa. That's where I'm kind of buying my stuff from here for the foreseeable future. I love the concept of Fate and Free Will. And Martheus, I thank you very much for being on my show. What's next for me? Well, tonight, I might be doing a little bit of a poetry reading. I don't get this opportunity very often, and I'm going to try to take advantage of it. My next event is June 2nd. June 2nd, there's a local book sale in Calgary. I will be checking it out. More details coming on that soon. I got another live podcast June 24th. So yeah, my time's getting really booked up, and like I said, other things are kind of happening, which I'll get into on a later date. Beyond all that, thanks for listening. You can support my podcast a number of different ways. You can subscribe to my podcast through iTunes, or you can do it through Podomatic. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Joshua Penteloresco. My blog is jpenteloresco.wordpress.com. The same way you spell it to get here on Podomatic is the same way you spell my WordPress. My books, The Watcher, Storm Dancer, Wandering God, are available through Mirrorwolf Publishing. You can check them out there or wherever on Kobo, on Amazon, wherever electronic books are sold. Regardless of what you do or what you don't do, stay inspired, keep following your dreams. The world's what you make of it. Make the most of it. All right? I'll see you next time. It'll be much sooner, I promise.
Josh.